Hello and welcome back to Making Mindfulness Fun. I'm so excited because we have a new series for you all about the koshas. The koshas are our subtle bodies. They're the layers that make up us, not just this body, but our emotions, our thoughts, our happiness, really. So before we get started,
to our channel here at Making Mindfulness Fun, we help you on your journey to higher consciousness so you can experience more joy, love, and emotional liberation.
Please make sure that you give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications because we put out a video every single day.
All right, so let's talk about the koshas. There are 5 different koshas, and we always talk about the koshas as thinking about nesting dolls, right? And so we have our first kosha, our physical kosha, and then we expand out from there. And it's really important to understand or to look at yourself from that perspective of that there's value in all 5 of those levels, because we have this tendency to only exist in our physical body, and there's so much more to us than just this physical body that we're living with.
Yes, and the other thing that's important to note too is that you must take care of all these kosha layers. However, you will not be able to access the deeper or more internal layers of our koshas if we have a blockage in any others. For example, our physical layers are first, but we will not be able to reach our intellectual layer kosha if we have blockages in our energy layer. So we must work through these layers and work on our self-care for each of these layers in order to be fully balanced and access each of these koshas to fulfill them. So in further videos after this, we're going to be talking about self-care, so stay tuned for that video.
The koshas are a really good reminder of how we have this confusion about what self-care is in the mindfulness world or in the yoga world. Everyone talks about self-care, we need to have bubble baths and we need to do yoga, but that's not what self-care is about. In fact, if we need to look at self-care from all 5 layers of our kosha. And the way that the stigma that we have around self-care these days is typically just layer 1. And that's what we're going to be following this video with. This series that comes after this is going to be about self-care for each layer of our koshas, because we are more than just our physical body.
So let's start with the first kosha layer, our physical kosha, our Annamaya layer. This is the first kosha Russian nesting doll layer that we have, which is the physical body. That's the first thing we have to overcome. That means that you have to, if you have any sort of physical issues or you're not taking care of your physical body, maybe if you have a job where you sit a lot, then your physical kosha is not going to feel good and you won't be able to access your 4 further layers. And most importantly is that not only is the physical body just about taking care of the physical body, but moving in a way that makes your physical body feel good. So not just yoga and mobility. Sometimes that requires stillness. Sometimes it requires movement. Sometimes it requires strength. It's important that we first overcome and take care of the physical kosha or Annamaya.
And then the second layer is the pranamaya. And you've probably heard the word prana before, relates to your breath. And it's also your energy force, right? It's your life force. And when we do breath work or we're meditating, we're building up that prana. We're building up our energy. And so it's really important to also focus on self-care for that level. Think about your fuel gauge. Think about your body in terms of, am I running on empty? Is my fuel gauge full? Maybe it's not even just your fuel gauge. Maybe your fuel gauge talks about, how you feel as an individual, but maybe you also have an oil gauge too, and that's maybe your relationships. Okay, you have a temperature gauge, and that can be your fulfillment in your career. You have to monitor this layer. And like Isabel said, if you're still stuck in that Annamaya, the first layer, your physical body, and you're eating processed food all the time, or you're never exercising, you're spending too much time sitting on a computer, you're not getting your heart rate up, your physical body is suffering, well, guess what? It's going to be really hard to tap into that energetic body.
So the next kosha is the mental and the emotional kosha. Not to be confused with the following one, which is intellectual. Mental and emotional go together, and it's called the Manomaya kosha. This is the central kosha. It is cushioned between 2 above us and 2 beneath. And this is really key because this is the transition point, and it's going to affect the ones below that can come closer to the body and the ones that come after. So the mental and emotional kosha is where mindfulness comes in. It's the part of ourselves where we have to realize that our emotions play a massive role in how we feel in our lives. This is where we have to bring in mindfulness and start to notice when our emotional reactions kick in, past emotions from our childhood or programmings that are affecting the way we go about our lives. And this kosha is key because our emotions, it's our mental process. Even though they're this auric thing, this auric body that we have, when it affects our brain, which in turn affects our hormones, which in turn affects our energetic body, which in turn affects our physical body. On the other hand, if we can't get a grasp of emotional balance and balance in this emotional kosha, how are we going to be able to step into our intellectual and blissful koshas that come next?
Yes, and next we have our fourth kosha, which is the Vijnana Maya kosha, our intellectual kosha, not to be confused with the one Gabby just talked about. The intellectual kosha is more about the third eye chakra. It's about finding things that are intellectually stimulating. Now we have a bit of a stigma in some cultures, and especially like around, I did a class with kids on the koshas, and this one was very interesting to talk about because it's all about finding what is mentally stimulating. Now, sometimes we don't really want to stimulate this kosha because having to use our brain in this way can seem stressful or exhausting or not something we want to do, when in reality, there is a version of the intellectual kosha that we desire and that we need. So whether that's solving puzzles, starting a business, activating that part of our brain that is trying to problem solve, that's trying to figure things out, that's trying to understand things and create new ideas. So that is our fourth kosha, and that's what we need to do next in order to step into our blissful kosha.
And our blissful kosha, which is also a hard name, I forget the name.
Anandamaya.
Anandamaya. It's very similar to the first one. Anandamaya is about not being all those other koshas. It's that level above it where you almost detach from just the physical. Like, I am not just this physical body. I am not just this energetic body. I am not just the emotions. Those are emotions. They're valid. We should be aware of them. We want to nurture them. But that doesn't make us who we are, right? They're just an experience. And moving past that intellectual creativity into this blissful state where I am present, fully present in the moment. And while it's hard, I'll say personally, to maintain that, every so often, I'll get moments of right now, just like everything just is great. It's just peaceful right now. It's almost like you want to freeze and capture that feeling in time. And while life gets stressful and can get busy, the better we get at tapping into that, the more we can access higher levels of consciousness, and the more some of those other things start to slip away and not consume us so much.
So I hope this gave you guys a pretty good explanation of what the 5 koshas are. I encourage you today to take time to sit down and try to distinguish what the 5 koshas that you feel in your body. Try to sit down and literally feel into the energetic aura around your body. We also, on our free app, Nomads with a Purpose, which is available on the App Store and on Google Play, you can get worksheets to journal through your koshas. In the videos that come after this, we're going to do a series on how to do self-care and how to nourish each of these 5 chakras. So I hope you guys join us for that.
Each of these 5 koshas. Not chakras.
Koshas.
See you then.
The chakras, though, definitely will help you with the koshas.